Hello, hello. Wholesaling houses, flipping paper. How is everyone today? I can't talk. Coming live from beautiful Arizona. We are gonna do an awesome training today. I'm so excited. It's my first training with wholesaling houses, flipping paper, and we're excited. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit today about partnering with agents. So a little background on myself. I've been in the real estate industry for about 12 years or so. And one of the strategies that I have found in either wholesaling or finding deals for investors is how to make partnering with agents effective and reliable and a great long-term strategy. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today, and hopefully you gain something from it. And let's rock and roll. All right, so this is a little bit about what we cover. So why agents? And we'll talk a little bit about why we have agents and why we work with agents and how to start that relationship. It's very important to know what are the starting steps. We're also going to talk about how to vet agents. Unfortunately, in the real estate climate, not every agent is created equally. And then the next step is we're going to leverage those agents into finding properties that you can either do a variety of different strategies on, and how to leverage those agents not only to find properties but bring properties to you before they hit the market. We're also going to talk about writing deals and how to be creative with your working with agents and getting properties under contract. And then the last but not least, we're going to talk about how do we create those lasting relationships to where you can repeat this process over and over and over and over again for a lot of money to put a lot of properties under contract, to move a lot of properties and create those lasting relationships. All right, so just a little bit of background about agents. So agents last year made over $75 billion in fees in the United States last year. So even if you get a small trickle of that, there's a lot of money to be made working with agents. Okay, 1.3 million agents are licensed in the United States. So that means you have a lot of potential partners in the real estate game to partner with you to find deals and to close deals. Okay, 5.5 million homes were sold last year working with agents. That's a lot of property. And one of the great things about agents is they see these deals coming. A lot of times there are a time period before the properties even hit the market, or they know that the property is coming, and that's another section we're going to be focusing on today. All right, so a lot of people, if you're new, that's great. Everybody has to start somewhere. So we're going to kind of go through a little bit of the basics right here. Is how do you find agents to work with? Well, one of the things that I did was I actually Googled it. As crazy as that sounds and as easy as that sounds, that's something that I did. And there's one reason for that. Typically, if you're Googling a real estate agent or realtor with a given zip code or city, if they're popping up number one on your list, there's a reason. They pay to be at the top of the list. So if they're paying to be at the top of the list, there's a reason for that. And that means they're moving deals, because it goes hand in hand. If they weren't moving deals, they wouldn't be able to afford to be at the top of the list. So that doesn't mean necessarily it might be a good fit, but it's a good starting point because you want to work with agents that are moving property. That is the number one goal. Okay. The second thing is if you have a relationship with a title company. Some wholesalers use one title company that they build a long-term relationship. Others use different title companies for different situations or cities, different types of property. Sometimes you're moving commercial properties. And so ask them. They also close on a lot of properties, and they also have relationships with agents that bring in or use them for their title services. Ask them, hey, who's closing deals for you guys? What investors are working with you, or what agents are working with investors that are closing investor deals? And they'd be happy to give you their name and number because that's just a referral for an agent that they already have a relationship with. And that's part of a title company's job, is to promote the people that they work with. So that's a great resource. They are awesome to give you the information. And if you just have one title company, that's great. And maybe you randomly contact a couple other title companies that might be able to refer you to some agents and maybe in a particular area that you want to focus in. And then the last thing is, if you're wholesaling, you've got buyers. Chances are, if they're fix and flip buyers, where they're flipping the property or they're fixing up, they're probably going to be putting it on the market. They typically have one agent, maybe 2 or 3 agents, depending on how many properties that they're moving. They are a great resource. If they have an agent that are already working with them to put their properties back on the market, that means that they're working with investors, and those are the type of agents you want to create a relationship with. And that also, if they are your buyer, if you're a wholesaler and they're buying from you, then that means that if they're working with that agent, there's already a relationship there, and you have a relationship with this buyer, so it might be a good way to go. So, vetting some agents. So, as I said before, and real estate agents it's no offense to anybody, but you want to vet who you work with. That's just the nature of the beast. This is a business. Not all agents are created equal, and that's okay. But what your job is, if you're going to work with a specific agent, you want to be able to vet them and make sure that you guys are a fit. The worst thing you can do is to start working with somebody, you're not a fit, it's not working out, and it's just a waste of time for the agent and for the wholesaler or the investor. So I've come up with some questions that I would ask. So number one, are they investor friendly? So, and I know that's a broad question, but you want to have somebody that are already working with investors. If this agent, this would be the first time working with an investor, maybe they're savvy enough to pick it up on the fly, but I would suggest that you work with somebody that has been doing it, because you can avoid some pitfalls that way, and you want an agent to bring some real value to your business and as you're trying to grow your business. The other question I always ask is, do they know what a wholesale deal is? Now, it's simple as that sounds. Not a lot of agents know what a wholesale deal is. In fact, I had to learn what that was at one period of time. And so that's an important question, because if they really don't know the answer to that, or if their answer is, well, yeah, a wholesale deal, that's $20,000 off the list price, or $30,000 off the list price, or something to that nature, they really don't know what a wholesale deal looks like. And if they don't know what a wholesale deal looks like, then they're not going to be able to help you attract or get or find properties that you're looking for. So that's very important that they know what that is going in. And then the other thing is, in wholesaling and real estate investing, a lot of times, unfortunately, we have to put contracts in on properties that sometimes we're not able to see. Maybe there's a tenant in place, or maybe it's a situation where it's hard to get into the property. And so sometimes what we see on paper and what we see live or in person is different. And so that would require us to maybe change our offer or walk away from the property as well. And I know some agents get really frustrated because, that's a fee. I'm going to lose. I don't want to lose a deal. If they're easily frustrated by walking away from a property, then maybe that they don't have the mentality that maybe you're looking for. And so, because in this industry, you're going to write a lot of contracts that fall through. That's just the nature of the beast of wholesaling and investing. The deal has to work. The deal has to pencil out for you and everybody involved. Okay. And another question I asked too is, if you find an agent that's actually wholesaling already, that's doing it themselves, that's a home run, because there's a lot of different things you can do if an agent is already wholesaling, and that is, maybe you can joint venture with them and make your money stretch out further, and maybe they can bring some things to the table. Maybe they know buyers in a particular area. Hey, I know 5 buyers in this zip code that will buy this property at this price, but if I bring in the buyer, will you joint venture with me, or will you JV or 50-50 the deal? And so that that in itself is immense value. And when working with agents, is if you have someone that's already doing the wholesale game, that's a touchdown. That's exactly where you want to be. And the other question you need to ask is, if you're ask an agent as you're sitting down and vetting them, is who are they working with? If you're a wholesaler in the market and you've been working in the market for a while, it's a pretty tight knit area, especially in the major cities. People know the other buyers and the other wholesalers in town, and so a good way to vet them is if they're saying, "Hey, I'm working with 123 Invest Group," then if you're a wholesaler and you probably have heard of that group, you're going to pick up the phone or send them a text and figure out, hey, is this agent good to work with? They say they've been working with you, and that's just a great way to vet them and to see what kind of work they've been doing with other investors. And then the last thing you want to ask is, are they flexible with fees? Now, there's this whole, agents have this whole thing of maybe their commission is more almost like a thing you don't mess with. And I will tell you that in working with agents that you need to be flexible with their fees. And most agents will be, if they know that they're going to be doing deals after deal after deal after deal after deal, then that's just consistent money in their pocket. So for me as an agent, when I work with investors, I'm willing to take less because I know if they're a good investor and they're buying properties, then I could probably work with them again and again and again. And so I'm going to end up putting more money in my pocket. It might be less up front, but in the long term, I'm going to create a relationship and put actually more money in my pocket working with the investor if you're an agent. And then in the reverse of is if you're an investor, if you have a good agent that can find the deals, can sniff them out, they're worth their weight in gold, because that is time that you don't have to spend in locating and finding good deals. All right, so the next step is finding the deal. So you've found some agents you want to work with. You've created some synergy. You think it's a good fit. So now it's the next step. All right, so let's get some deals. Let's put some deals together. So here's some things that I would suggest, especially working with agents. Put maybe some key things that you're looking for in finding the property. So some key terms would be days on market. And the reason I say days on market, typically properties, I typically use 100 days for an example. It's a good place to start as for properties that have been on the market a long time. For some reason, whether it's the condition or the circumstance, they can't move the property. So that's a good place to start. If the property's been stale, it's a stale listing, maybe there's an opportunity to get in there and make an offer and make a deal happen. Needs repair. So that's pretty much the obvious. There's a key term, needs repair or needs rehab. That's another key term that you want agents that you're working for looking for, whether it be on the MLS, whether it be talking to prospective owners, is looking for that key term. Oh, it needs work is typically the word I hear a lot, and that's usually a good sign. If you're a wholesaler or an investor, that's the type of property you're probably looking for. Foreclosures. So back probably about 5 years ago, there was probably a lot more foreclosures on the market. That's also a term that is that you want an agent looking for. Obviously, on public records, you're able to see what properties are in foreclosure. It is very competitive looking in that market, but that doesn't mean that a deal can't be had. And so, agents can see that and be looking for that. There's agents that work specifically in the foreclosure market. So if that's a niche that you're looking for, make sure the agent you want to work with is able to find those deals. And typically with foreclosures, it's a ticking clock before they lose the property. So time's of the essence, and if you have an agent that can work quick, it's fantastic. It's a great way to go. Motivated. That's the other term that you want your agent to look for. Or if you're an agent looking for a property, are they motivated? Typically, you'll see that, or you'll hear that on the phone. You're talking to John Smith, the other agent, or maybe the property's on the market, and they're motivated. They got to sell it. They got to sell it. They're moving town. They just got a divorce, or maybe they lost a job. So motivated. That's another term, key phrase that you want the agent that you're looking for. That is a great way to find deals. Pocket listings. So a lot of people don't even know what pocket listings are. Pocket listings are maybe a property that's not on the MLS, but it's for sale, and maybe they're looking for a specific buyer. Maybe it's a unique property that maybe they're having a hard time finding a buyer for, or maybe they're looking for the perfect buyer and they don't want it blasted everywhere. Maybe they're particular on maybe it's an expensive property. There's some particular thing where they have it for sale. Someone contacts an agent, they have it in their back pocket, and they're looking for a specific buyer. So that could be another resource. And agents who know other agents have properties that they know they're maybe about to list or are coming. Those would be considered what we call pocket listings. All right, so the next step we're going to go to is actually writing deals. So writing a deal or writing a contract or coming up with terms, it's definitely a skill. And what I mean by that is, yes, most agent forms or the National Association of Realtors or your local state will have a set form that agents use. But having an agent that can be creative with terms, be flexible, and to write key things into a contract that might be advantageous for you is critical. Are they willing to be able to do that? Can they do that? Or do they have the skill set necessary? Can they, as an investor, tell your agent one thing, and are they be able to write and communicate that on the contract effectively where it best represents you? So that's a very, very important detail that is often overlooked. And the difference between getting a deal sometimes and not getting a deal is what's written in the contract or how it's worded. And so it's very important that you have working with an agent, or have an agent that's able to effectively write out the contract to where it is attractive to a potential seller. Is your agent creative? So we've Wholesale Houses Flipping Paper. I know we've done many trainings on doing creative deals. Are your agents able to write those type of deals? Are they creative enough to be able to come up with creative financing, seller carry, lease options, wraps, those different things? Are they able to effectively represent you and write those deals? And are as a wholesaler, are you working with those agents that can write those deals? If you find something, if the agent finds something, can they write the deal effectively for you to get the terms that you're looking for? And the other thing that, as far as writing deals, is agents, especially if it's a listed property. Now, I will tell you, in the last year, I have done numerous transactions using properties on the MLS, and I know that stereotypes out there on, if it's listed on MLS, it's not a good deal, and that's just not the case. A deal's a deal, whether it's on MLS or whether it's not. And so by leveraging my commissions, or maybe taking less of a commission, or maybe it's a listed deal, maybe my buyer's willing to pay me. Maybe you do that where, hey, I've got enough room in this deal as the investor. Hey, I got enough room in this deal. I'll pay you, and that gives 3% more to the buyer with really with it out without coming out of my pocket up front. So there's different ways to leverage that, and typically 3%. If you're looking at a $100,000 property, that's $3,000 that you could manipulate or work to your advantage. Maybe the agent's willing to take less. Hey, you know what? I'll take in a percentage of 1.5%. Okay, on a 100,000 deal, that's $1,500, and that could be the difference between having a deal or not having a deal. And what I always tell the people I work with is some thousands are better than no thousands. Okay, and I'd rather make a little bit of money than not make any money at all. All right, so one of the other things I want to talk about is building lasting relationships. It is so important that you, as an investor or as an agent or both, as I am, is to effectively continue to build relationships. Are you going to meetups? Are you going to lunch with your clients? Are you collaborating together? Are you getting together in the same room? I know we're in a technology phase. Technology is great and fantastic, but I will tell you this is a face-to-face, personable, person-to-person relationship business. If you're not doing that, if you're not going out and shaking hands and meeting with people, you're hurting yourself. And I know as crazy as that sounds in the climate that we live in, you're hurting yourself if you're not doing that. So take the time, build those relationships. Go to lunch, buy a cup of coffee, take 30 minutes out of your day to meet with your investor, your buyers, whoever you're working with. It's critical you're building relationships, especially with agents. If you have an agent you're working with, if you're not building a relationship, you're not meeting with them face to face at least once a month, then there's a disconnect there. You should be meeting at the properties that you're putting under contract. You should be communicating face to face, and that's just a critical aspect of building your business, is that one-on-one building relationships. The other thing is agents, if they're a good agent and they've been doing deals, they have buyers. And so if you've vetted them, like we talked about earlier, if you vetted those agents, then they have buyers looking for properties, and probably have buyers that are looking for properties in specific areas, probably with specific price points. And so as you build those relationships with agents, really what you're doing is you're building your independent buyers list. You're building that list of buyers that could buy your property. And so that's what these agents will bring to the game, is really some buyers. And buyers are great. That's what you're looking for. If you don't have a buyer, then you're not in a good way as far as moving your property. The other thing I would recommend that everybody does is, as you're meeting with agents or talking with agents or collaborating or doing deals, is geographically have a geographic strategy with agents. And so if you live in a big metropolitan city, I live and work in Phoenix. If you're living in a large metropolitan area, unfortunately, you can't be everywhere at once, and you can't be an expert in every little city and suburb in town. I mean, you have some knowledge, but you have agents that have, in every area, you have agents that know the area, or have 4 listings in a subdivision, or have 10, they've sold 10 houses in a particular city. You want to start and build those geographical relationships with those buyers, and it's really easy to do that. When you're meeting with them, talk with them, ask them, hey, where do you work, and where do you get your listings from, where are your buyers at? And it'll be really easy in that conversation to figure out where they work. And for me, I work in more Western Phoenix because that's where I live. That's where I know the most people, and so I do deals in that part of Phoenix. I do deals that way. Not that I don't know other areas, because I do, but I have a strong network of people that buy and live over there and work over there. So I would geographically, when you're looking at your 4 to 5 agents, and that's what I would recommend, have 4 or 5 agents that you build a relationship with to start with. I know many investors that work with 20, 25, 30, 40 different agents that are bringing them deals. You'll get to that point as you start your business, but as you're just starting out, you want just a few agents that you're working with that are bringing you deals. And part of that is if you're just starting out, you're only maybe trying to close a deal a month. Well, if you have 6 agents always bringing you deals and you can't move on them, that's disheartening for the agent. And so chances are eventually that agent's probably not going to bring you deals anymore, because if you can't close or move on them, then that just creates frustration, and the agent feels like they're wasting your time. So as you start, I would recommend 4 or 5. That would be a good starting point. They're not. Some agents won't bring you deals every month, but maybe they bring you 6 deals a year, and that's fantastic. That's what you're looking for. And the last thing I wanted to talk about as we wrap up is taking care of the agents. It is imperative in this business. Everybody kind of knows everybody in a weird way, and it's crazy as that sounds. Make sure you take care of the agents that you work for, and that just helps your reputation. And be straightforward with them, work with them, be honest with them, and as you do that, as you take care of the agents will take care of you. They will represent you well. They will find you deals, and working with agents is just a fantastic way to build your investment business. If you are wholesaling, you're flipping, you're buying whole properties, whatever you're doing, you need to have an agent in your arsenal to bring you deals. And as you do that, as you build that pipeline of agents, they will build a pipeline of buyers, and then everybody's in a win-win. Everybody's making a little bit of money, and that's what we're all in this business to do. We're all in this business to make money, and so it's a great way to build your business. I suggest please find a local agent that if you're not working with an agent, find one, start working with them to help you bring them deals, and then on the back end, maybe they help you sell a deal that maybe you couldn't get rid of, or maybe you're a flipper and you've got an end product you need to get rid of. A good agent's worth their weight in gold. So it was great joining you today on this training. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Blaine Wright. You can find me on Facebook. Feel free to message me with any questions. If you're in the Phoenix area and you're looking for maybe an agent to work with or to start working with, I'd be happy to work with you and show you the ropes as far as working with investors and finding properties. And so hope to see you next time, and good luck in finding a good agent to work with.